Bruh. No cap, this probably the craziest shit I seen on Google Earth, TikTok. I ain't find this, so don't come for me. So if you go just north of Los Angeles, California, I don't know what the hell this thing is, but if you zoom in, looks like a portal to another dimension. You zoom in even closer, man, it looks like there's a portal right in the front entrance of it. But what makes it even crazier, man, look at this. You zoom over here, bro, it's fucking all tanks in the area. Like, what y'all need all these tanks for, yo? Tell me it's not trying to hide something. Why you got all these military tanks guarding something like this? Here's what I need y'all to do, man. Anybody that live in Los Angeles or even Ridgecrest, California, that's what it's closest to. You know what I mean? Go check this out, man. Us TikTokers need to know what the hell going on. Look, Ridgecrest right here. It's probably only a few.
I have a crazy theory for you that the Earth is trying to remove the human race for good. So check this out. The Earth is an organism, so that means that the Earth is living. So if the world is alive and it's kind of interconnected, its nervous system, we have the plants, we have roots, everything that's attached to it, everything is connected. So the theory is that the Earth is a living being and the humans are the virus.
Oh no, I see where this is going.
If you think about when a human gets sick, our bodies create antibodies to get rid of the virus, right? We want to kill it off. So just like that, the Earth will create natural disasters like earthquakes, droughts, fires to kill off the virus that is hurting the Earth. So we are the virus.
Aliens have been living at Earth for many years, and this is the footage that proves it. They are sending a camera down to 1,700 m below sea level because their fishing radar was picking up savage readings. They did not know that when they reached the bottom, their lives would be changed forever. Out of the darkness of the horrifying depths, a real-life alien reveals itself. This jaw-dropping footage now tells mankind where these rogue aliens are hiding. The fisherman knew by just looking at it. It was plotting to take over the world. By the orange color, we can tell it's an extremely poisonous mammal. The fisherman mysteriously missed supper that night. The tentacled alien followed the boat home and is thought to be living amongst humans on land. Orange eyes equals alien.
You need to hear this crazy conspiracy about iPhones. Have you ever thought about why an iPhone has its name? Some people think when Apple says I, it literally means I. iPhones are watching us, listening to us, and seeing everything we're doing. And some people have this link to the Illuminati. Don't believe me? What's Siri spelled backwards?
You know, what's even more weird is if you take a picture of a $1 bill on the back.
It looks like an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you actually, well, you turn the contrast all the way up. And yeah, the contrast reveals an alien head and the face, the eyes, everything. It's kind of genius. What's in your pocket?
Yeah, Roswell.
The Teletubbies conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Psychotic children were purportedly isolated in dark rooms, and apparently 4 children who died on the same day inspired the characters in Teletubbies. Lala's facial disfigurement and 5 years of isolation inspired Lala. Tuatei, a deaf, facially deformed child, was tied to the fence outdoors and frostbitten, inspiring Tinky Winky. Donka, starving and unwell, inspired Dipsy by lying in his vomit for days. Ultimately, Paulina fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspiring Poe. So why are they called the Teletubbies? The children's main source of comfort were the television sets in their room, and when they got word that the mental institution was getting rid of them, the children concocted a plan to hide the TVs. The children would rip out their insides to hide the miniature TV sets that were too big to swallow, only to be found dead by the returning caregivers the next morning.
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a doll companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
We all know the Earth is actually... Okay, nah, we're not doing that. What? Yeah, we're doing this? For real? Why do I have to be that guy? What is beyond the ice wall of Antarctica? Disclaimer, obviously a theory and should be considered for entertainment purposes only. Yes, this is the ridiculous Earth plane theory, or at least a part of it. Now, personally, I think this map is complete bullcrap. There's just countless evidence that goes against it. Before ever even considering a theory, you always need to look for some sort of tangible proof. And these mysterious blue shards reported in a leak from Antarctic Research Labs are a little more revealing. They were leaked by this helicopter engineer who was contracted to work at McMurdo Station in Antarctica from 1997 to the year 2000. And if you don't know, McMurdo Station is usually where shit goes down. So this engineer, let's call him Jimmy Boy, claimed that he befriended a few of the scientists doing research there in 1998. The scientists told him that they had two types of ice they worked with down there. There was this ice that they drilled cores out of boreholes in the ground that was cold to the touch, usually clear or some shade of white, and melted into water. Almost all of Antarctica is covered with this type of ice, which is just normal ice. Clearly, this wasn't their main focus of research. The only times they ever actively study this ice is when film crews from like National Geographic came down to film a documentary. The other 95% of the time, they studied the forbidden sky ice, totally different than the ice that we're used to. Jimmy wasn't allowed in the labs where they studied sky ice because it was, you know, super duper top secret. But one time, one of the scientists he got close with showed him a piece of the ice, and it was unlike any other matter he's ever seen on Earth. First of all, you couldn't touch it with your bare hands and had to wear your heavy-duty South Pole exploration gloves when holding it because of how cold it was. Secondly, as you can tell, it was this solid deep blue color, allegedly composed mainly of oxygen, and is why they called it sky ice. And oh man, I haven't even scratched the surface of how deep this goes. Oxygen has a freezing point of about negative 218 degrees Celsius, which is when it turns into a solid, so you'd practically get frostbite just by looking at it. Jimmy held it for a bit with his gloves, of course, noting that it was lighter than regular ice, almost like he could have thrown it up in the air and it would have floated back down. It was also slightly flexible and completely opaque, so you couldn't see through it at all. And it didn't even melt into water when it got warm, but just continually shrank until it ceased to exist, likely turning directly into oxygen gas, which is why they had to study it in Antarctica. They couldn't even transport it to anywhere in the world before it disappeared. The Russians knew about this too, and it's part of the reason they all have research stations down there. After 15 minutes or so, the sky ice was almost completely gone, and Jimmy asks his research friend where they even get this ice from. And this is where it gets interesting, because to that, the scientist replied, they get it from the wall. According to him, if you go deep enough, hundreds of kilometers inland from the coast, you'll run into a huge wall in Antarctica that contains this sky ice, the biggest natural structure in the world. This sounds a lot like the infamous ice wall from the pancake Earth theory, which states there's a giant wall of ice that surrounds our entire planet, and there's even more land beyond this wall if you somehow manage to get past it, including the legendary lands of Atlantis, Mu, the Garden of Eden, and even Asgard. Obviously just an incredible stretch of a theory, but interesting to see the ice wall mentioned in a scientific setting here. Now, buckle in, because this is where it actually gets insane, in case you felt like it wasn't already. The US has known about this sky ice for decades, and back in the 60s, they actually tried boring a tunnel through the ice wall. They built a special boring machine made for the super cold temperatures of the sky ice wall and started digging. For the first 2 miles or so, the floor was solid rock, but after that, even the ground under them became the bright blue sky ice, until they got about 5 to 10 miles deep after an entire year of boring, which is pretty damn far and still no sight of the other side. When they realized the tunnel was shrinking and eventually got so small that they could barely even move their machine anymore. Turns out sky ice, when exposed to warmer temperatures, just dissipates into thin air, but in colder temperatures, like inside the tunnel, it regenerates itself. Eventually, the tunnel got so tight, it became too difficult to continue boring, so they scrapped the project, ditched the machine, and after many decades, the hole they dug into the wall has now been completely sealed. Now, some people say this sky ice wall sounds almost exactly like what would be called the dome or the firmament in the horizontal Earth, or at least fragments of it, and even the most most popular book in the world had something to say about it. Ezekiel 1:26 reads, "And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone." Now, whether you believe in the Bible or not, we can all agree it is by definition a historic text. Text that was written sometime in history. Firmament over their heads, appearance of a sapphire stone. I mean, I really don't want to believe this is true, and who knows, maybe this entire Sky Ice Antarctica story is just completely made up, but as always, what if?
Did you know the everyone is dead theory?
No.
So basically, everybody watching this right now, everybody you know, like your friends, your family, your teachers, everybody is dead. But how could this be true? You could pinch yourself, you can feel pain, and so how could you possibly be dead? Well, there's actually two scientific theories that could prove this theory to be true. Number one is it's a well-known fact that your entire life flashes before your eyes when you die. And it's well known also that your consciousness sticks around, remains alive a little bit after your death. Some say that it's about 7 minutes after your physical body dies. And number two is, according to Einstein's theory of relativity and also quantum theory, time is relative and there are actually infinite realities existing all at the same time. What this means is the 7 minutes could be an eternity since you're dead, and time is going to be different since it's relative. And you're actually living out one of your potential lives. This theory states that we all collectively died in 2012 when the Mayan calendar predicted basically the end of the world. Since we all died at the same time, we are now experiencing life as a shared consciousness that's actually just that split second at the end of our lives, that flash.
Is down there.
Giant monsters.
And who are they and why are they here?
They're a natural defense mechanism from the planet. They've been here longer than any of us have, or since before the dinosaurs even. These are creatures that go back millions of years potentially and have been living there for a very, very long time. My personal encounter with them is they're highly intelligent, and I guarantee you a living creature that's 200 or 300 feet tall, that's, several 100,000 or 1,000,000 years old, has a consciousness that probably defies understanding from me or you anyway.
How long have they been here?
Millions of years, probably even maybe since the beginning of the planet.
Could you give me an example of what one of these giants look like?
Sure. I've only had one personal experience that I can relate. While I have been briefed on the subject and I could describe a few other things, I only have one personal experience that I was there for, saw with my own eyes, and experienced with my own 5 senses. So if you want to imagine something that resembles a big furry primate, maybe like a sloth that walks on its hands and is covered with hair that looks like giant dreadlocks.
How tall do you think, could you estimate?
I would estimate that it was probably between 250 and 300 feet tall.
How do they grow to such an extreme size, and why aren't we not seeing them on the surface?
Well, I think we're talking about pre-primordial time, so we're talking about before the dinosaurs, when plants and animals were even larger. So I think we're just talking about they came from a time when biological life grew bigger.